Thank you all for coming back so promptly. I hope you enjoyed your parallel sessions. Mine was fantastic, I'm delighted to say. So at all our conferences, as you know, this is our 10th biennial conference. We have a slot on the last day just for something a little different and a little bit special. Not that everything we have done hasn't been special. But this year we're honoured to welcome Tolu Makay as our special guest. Tolu is an independent artist, singer and songwriter. She was born in Nigeria and raised in the Midlands of Ireland, and she's become one of Ireland's leading creative voices. She released her first EP, Being, in 2020, and during lockdown, her rendition of the classic Saw Doctors song N17, accompanied by the RTE Concert Orchestra, lifted the spirits of the nation and made her the highest ever charting female solo artist in Ireland. Tolu is well known from her TV appearances, which include Other Voices, The Late Late Show and The Tommy Tiernan Show, and recently she completed a sold-out tour of Ireland, including a headline performance at Vicar Street. Tolu was recognised as the Irish Tatler Woman of the Year for Music and Best Female Artist at Black and Irish. Most importantly, we like to claim she's a graduate of NUI Galway, so everything else pales into its insignificance. So please put your hands together for Tolu Makay.
Hello everyone. I am not going to pretend that I am formal. This is going to be informal. So I want you to engage with me. Hello everybody. Hello. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you so much for, reading all that out. I never ever say that to myself, ever. I'm like, please let someone else do that. But I've been sitting in, and I am so grateful and honored to be here back in NUI Galway. And I was studying psychology and philosophy, Bachelor of Arts, when I left. And then I got into postgrad in Trinity, and I wanted to be a neuropsychologist, and then things became a bit too expensive, so I decided to do music. But anyways, it's fine. My parents were not that disappointed as they were. But I've been listening to the different, speeches that's been happening, and it's incredible what's happening. I think it's Freudgrad. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, just in relation to youth work and how important and integral it is for even myself, because that's what's helped me to be where I am today. And I was listening to you guys that were doing the youth work as well. You're amazing. What you're doing is outstanding. And it really made me realize that if I didn't have that kind of help or support when I was growing up, I wouldn't have found music. I wouldn't have found my passion at all. So let me give you the backstory. I moved here to Ireland when I was 5 years old. My parents brought me from Nigeria, and the first place that I could feel somewhat settled or could call home was Tullamore in County Offaly. Very rural. I remember 2000, there was a little kid that saw me and was like, "Mommy, look, there's black people. Why is their skin like that?" Which was fine. I was like, yeah, I get it. I think I'm trying to look for people that look like me too. I can't find them. So, but it was really hard because it was just me, my mom, and two of my other siblings. So my mom was working a lot, and I had to grow up very fast. And finding some form of space for settling was very hard. I would move around in primary school. Every year I would go to different primary schools. So having friendship or some form of stability was never there. I think it was in my adult years that I had to start finding coping mechanisms or finding better ways of unlearning habits that I've learned just because of coping or trying to cope anyways in a place that I didn't feel somewhat comfortable. So in my second year, I actually went to 2 secondary schools as well, so that was crazy. But in my second year, that's when I found friends and really found a sense of community. And it was the first time that I started engaging in music. There was a lot of things that happened beforehand that never really allowed me to explore music because I was shy. Like I said, the only black kid in like my primary school, secondary school, until my brother came in. And it was tough because identity, I feel like I'm still going through like identity crisis. I've always tried to like find more people that look like me, not because it's a bad thing, but because I think you're always trying to find people that look like you just because you don't want to feel like an alien. But I will say that with Tullamore College, we never had music. It was my arts teacher that made me really start understanding that art can be a way of like releasing and expressing yourself. And they really like tried, because we were very poor in Tullamore. Even our school, they couldn't afford getting a teacher to come and teach us. So we would have to sacrifice our lunch and our breaks if we wanted to do music or be in a choir. And that was, I did it because I loved it. And I started doing competitions, and from getting that community support, I remember the last competitions I did, Midlands Got Talent. That was also the first time I realized that I could actually like pay for things. Because Midlands Got Talent, the prize money was $3,000, and I didn't know how I was gonna get into NUI Galway and like sort myself out. Shout out to Susie. But like even accommodation, accommodation was really tough, and with like winning that money, it really helped me to like find my feet a little bit, because like I said, we couldn't afford anything unless Susie was helping. But even like within the community in Tullamore, we have an area called St. Mary's Youth Center. I remember if like mom was away or the kids needed to be somewhere in a safe environment, this youth center was a place where you'd learn about theater, about painting, about drawing, about making like clay pots, singing, whatever it is that you wanted to do. It was never, I think it was the first time that I felt like I had a community, if that made sense, that was outside of church. Now, church. Let's talk about the church. So, I grew up as a Christian, Pentecostal Christian, and I've always found that, especially within like the Black community, that we often not that it's a bad thing, but it's always the safest place that we see most of ourselves. And because it's a community in of itself, also combined with like religion, it's hard to kind of separate the religion with how you want to see like function and have friends that look like you. So I'd often go to these like functions and start singing, and that's where I like started enjoying the art of performance. But it was very intertwined in like, I don't necessarily know if I understand this religion, but I know this is how it makes me feel. But because this is how it makes me feel, I'll continue doing this. And I often find that a lot of, especially like migrant kids, we don't like to explore or go out as much, not because we don't want to, but sometimes because we don't necessarily have like access to like these other places. And because Tullamore is quite small, that's why I was able to kind of get myself into like St. Mary's Youth Center and stuff like that, because my teacher saw that I had interest in music, so they would like pitch me to like these places. But oftentimes that's never the case for like people that do look like me. Getting access to information, even though like it may seem like it's readily accessible or it's everywhere, if I'm saying that I'm coming from a community whereby religion and having to be in such a space is where I will feel my best. And if I'm going to a different type of like gathering that doesn't have people that look like me, I'll be too scared to go to those kind of functions. But because I grew up in a rural place, I'm very used to being the only Black child, so I always throw myself in those spaces. But with speaking to like friends and family, and kind of like seeing the Black community build itself more in Tullamore, it was never, I think a lot of people felt like we were segregating ourselves, and it was never the case. We needed someone to say, this is also for you. We needed someone to say, you know, you are also allowed into this space. And there was never like a sense of like communication, like, you know, being spread or given to the youths in Tullamore. So whenever like, I remember one time I was it was just me and my group of friends coming from church, and we looked really cool walking down the streets of Tullamore. And there was like, I think 10 of us, and we're all black, and like seeing that in Tullamore was like a bit shocking. And I remember it was the first time I kind of like encountered like racism in that level. It was just like everyone staring at us, and then some got vocal enough to be, saying things. But it made me realize that it's just, they just haven't seen us in that kind of way. There hasn't been enough of us, but there's always like a negative connotation in seeing like groups of people that look different from you, and I don't know why that is. I think it's probably like a human thing. I don't know why we're wired weird. And I think that's also the reason why I got into psychology, because I really wanted to understand like why we think the way we do. I really wanted to understand myself, because I've always felt so different. And because I lived in Tullamore and I wasn't around like black people often, unless it was like because of religion or Christianity, I had a huge trouble with my identity. And if it wasn't for the church, I don't know where I'd be, honestly, if I'm truthfully, because that's where I got to really express myself in a way that I never really got the chance to. And also, it gave me a sense of like community, and it was also a way of me exploring my spirituality. But it was when I left the church that I really got to see that I could also bring this sense of who I am outside to different types of like communities. It doesn't always have to be in the church. But I think that's what a lot of people like me struggle with, because this is home, this is a safe space, but they may not necessarily like want to like do the religion, but because this is a familiar space for them, they'll prefer to sacrifice themselves to just be in that space. And it can be quite lonely, because you want to do different things and you want to challenge yourself differently, but you also feel like that's not meant for you because you've never had other groups come to you and say that this is also for you too. Anyways, now moving on. So yeah, when I won the competition in Tullamore, my mom brought like all my friends. She did the most. She put my flyers all across the schools when I walked in. She didn't tell me, it was a surprise. I don't know if she thought it would be a good thing, because kids can be great bullies. So, but anyways, they all came. We got a bus. I won the competition. Was able to pay off, rent for like 3 months, which was great. Started working, and then when I left and went into Trinity and saw how hard that was because of money, music was always like a constant thing I had that would just keep me going. And before COVID, I would honestly say that I was sleeping maybe 4 hours each day for like 3 years, because I learned very quickly that no one's gonna save me. I have to be my own savior, because money-wise, I can't ask my parents. I have to provide the money myself. Secondly, I have to get a job, so I need to find a 9 to 5. And then third, I love music. That's my passion. That's what keeps me going. So from 7 till about, 1 o'clock, that's just like the cycle of my life constantly, until I crashed at the end of 2019. And then that's when I made the active decision to be a full-time musician. But I didn't know COVID was gonna happen. I didn't know COVID was gonna happen. But towards the end of 2020, because I'm very stubborn, when I say I'm going to do something, I need to see it through. So the end of 2020, December 31st, that's when the whole N17 broke out. But I was this close to giving up and just going back to my full-time job. But the thing is, I wouldn't say I'm an overachiever. I just like to work hard, and I think that's just because of my background and knowing that no one can save me apart from myself, just because of what the hands I've been led, given. So I got into Google, and Google is like, oh my God, everybody wants to work in Google. Yes, free food, flights, yeah, all that kind of stuff. And I was in it, and as soon as I realized I was not happy, I knew that I was going to be sad for the rest of my life. So I needed to do something else, because I mean, you're getting free food. What else do you need? I felt like a crazy person. But I have friends that are incredibly gifted, and that same year when I was trying to figure out like why I'm so sad in a job that everybody wants, it made me realize that it brought me back to my childhood. Because one of my friends had a theater play and I was acting in it. I broke my leg, and I broke my leg on the week, like I sprained my ankle, but I didn't mind. I was hopping on stage and doing my lines, and I always figured that whenever it comes to like my passion, I never, ever, reduce. I never how can I explain it? I never give up. I keep going, even if like my ankle is broken or my knee is like sore. Even some shows that I was on TV, I've broken my MCL. I actually tore my MCL recently this year. But I've learned that when it comes to like my passion and with music, I will keep going no matter what. Even if it's like my last breath, I will keep doing it. But in relations to all of this and me speaking about my life and where I am, if I didn't have like youth workers that were in that area that really wanted to help, me or just give me a chance, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have had the huge leap of faith to just quit my job and go into music full time. But because I had all those experiences from my childhood and also believing in myself so much because I've had to, it made me realize that, that's been an integral part for who I am today. And I'm really excited about what Freuga? Yeah. I'm really excited about what Freuga is doing. I did learn Irish in secondary school. I fought for it. It's just I can't remember. I'm sorry. But yes, that's like my life story. And at the moment, I'm a huge advocate for mental health. I've worked with the likes of Minding Creative Minds. They are kind of like a helpline for artists globally in Ireland that need any kind of like help or support. I've worked with Pieta with Darkness into Light recently. I've helped with Women's Aid as well, and my hope and plan for Tullamore is to maybe set up the competition that I was in, which was Midlands Got Talent. So I want to see if there's a way I can bring that up again. But even small things like St. Patrick's Day, I want to find a way to get my community more involved in that, because growing up, those were exciting things that I was also included in. But one thing I will say is that, with the works that I've done and trying to like bring more Black voices into spaces like this, by bringing us, you're not doing anything bad. It's you being inclusive, and I think that's something a lot of people need to understand. You're not doing a bad thing, or you're not like segregating us, or you're not like pointing things out. It's a form of inclusion, and there's so many. Like I could keep talking about like the different dichotomy and aspects of like religion and different type of community, and like how people from Nigeria and different countries in Africa, some get along, some don't, and like all of that being mixed into like a pot, and then you're coming into Ireland, and then you're also trying to navigate who you are. It's very confusing. It's a lot. And I think there's just isn't enough communication to understand the different type of aspects that happens within these small communities, because as even though they stay together, it's because that's a form of comfort and safety for them, not necessarily because they don't want to be part of the community. And all it takes is just giving encouragement, because that's what kind of led me into art, being encouraged. My art teacher didn't have to show me my first music that I'd love forever. Like those are just small things that really makes you become who you are. How am I doing with time?
A few more minutes, yeah.
Sweet, great, awesome. Thank you. I prepared this very well, didn't I? But yes, I'm really happy to be here. It's been a journey, and to be back here in NUI Galway and to be speaking to you and in support of like something I'm quite passionate about, which is mental health, kids, and just making sure everyone's like good, and supported. I'm super grateful. And normally when I finish a gig or when I finish performance, I'll be like, my name is Tolu Makay, don't forget me, meet me at the bar. But there's none of that. So there's none of that. So thank you so much.